If you've been seeing headlines saying that TSA is now handing over passenger names to ICE, and you're wondering whether it's safe to fly, whether your visa status could get you detained at the airport, or whether this is some brand new policy that changes everything, I need you to take a breath, because what's actually happening is very different from what's being shared on social media right now. My name is Saqib, and you're watching Global Immigration Updates, where we break down immigration news without the panic, without the politics, and without the rumors. Just facts, clarity, and guidance you can actually use. So let's talk about what's really going on with TSA, ICE, and passenger information, because there's a lot of fear spreading fast, and most of it is based on misunderstanding how the system has always worked. First, let me be very clear about something. TSA sharing information with ICE is not new. This is not a policy that was just announced yesterday. This is not something that started this week or this month. The Transportation Security Administration and Immigration and Customs Enforcement have shared data for years under existing agreements and legal frameworks that have been in place long before any recent headlines. What seems to have happened is that someone either discovered this information sharing for the first time, or an internal memo or operational detail became public and it started circulating online as if it were breaking news. Then the fear took over. People started assuming that if you fly, ICE will be waiting for you at the gate. That if you have a pending green card case or if you're on a work visa, you'll be flagged. That simply being a non-citizen makes you a target the moment you check in for a flight. That is not how this works. Let me explain what actually happens. When you book a flight and check in, the airline collects your information. That information is shared with TSA as part of the security screening process. TSA's job is to make sure that people boarding planes are not a threat to aviation security. They run your name through databases that check for things like outstanding warrants, terrorism watch lists, and other security concerns. Now, some of those databases are shared across federal agencies. That means in certain situations, if someone is flagged in the system for immigration violations, customs violations, or criminal activity, that information may be accessible to agencies like ICE or Customs and Border Protection. This is called information sharing, and it happens between many government agencies under laws that have existed for years. But here's what people are getting wrong. TSA is not calling ICE every time someone with a visa boards a plane. They are not scanning every passenger to see if they overstayed by 2 days or if their work authorization is about to expire. That is not their role, and that is not what's happening at airports across the country. The people who are most likely to be flagged are individuals who already have an active removal order, individuals with serious criminal warrants, individuals who are already wanted by immigration authorities for specific legal reasons, or individuals who are on federal watch lists. If you are flying domestically or internationally and you have legal status in the United States, even if that status is temporary, like a student visa or work visa, flying is not going to trigger an ICE action unless there is already an existing legal issue tied to your case. Let me say that again, because this is the part causing the most confusion. If you are in the U.S. legally, if your visa is valid, if you have work authorization, if you're a green card holder, if you're waiting for an adjustment of status decision, and you have not violated any terms of your stay, you are not at risk simply because you decide to fly. Now, I know some of you are thinking, what if I overstayed my visa? What if I missed a court hearing? What if I have a pending case and I'm out of status? Those are very different situations, and yes, those situations do carry immigration risk. But even in those cases, the idea that TSA is actively hunting for overstays at the airport is not accurate. What is accurate is that if you are out of status and you are already in removal proceedings, or you have an order of deportation, traveling may increase your chances of encountering immigration enforcement because your information may already be in the system. That's why immigration attorneys have always advised people who are out of status or who have pending immigration issues to avoid unnecessary domestic travel and to absolutely avoid international travel unless they have advance parole or another form of legal permission. This advice is not new. It has been standard guidance for years. What is also important to understand is that ICE does not have agents stationed at every airport waiting to arrest travelers. ICE operates based on priorities. Their enforcement priorities are typically focused on individuals with criminal convictions, individuals with final removal orders, and individuals considered threats to public safety or national security. Again, this is not new. These priorities have been in place under multiple administrations with some variation, but the general framework has remained consistent. So, where is all this fear coming from? Part of it is the way information spreads online. Someone sees a headline, they share it without context, someone else adds their own interpretation, and within hours, you have thousands of people convinced that a new crackdown is happening. Part of it is also that immigration is an emotional topic, and when people are already anxious about their status or their future, any news that involves ICE or enforcement feels personal and threatening, even if it doesn't actually apply to them. Here's what I want you to do. If you are in the United States on a valid visa, if you are a green card holder, if you are a U.S. citizen, you do not need to be afraid to fly. You do not need to avoid airports. You do not need to cancel your travel plans based on these rumors. If you are out of status, if you have missed a court date, if you have an order of removal, or if you are unsure about your immigration standing, then yes, you should be cautious about travel and you should speak to an immigration attorney before making any decisions. That has always been true and it remains true now. If you want to verify anything about how TSA and ICE share information, you can visit tsa.gov, you can visit ice.gov, and you can look up the privacy impact assessments that explain what data is collected, how it's used, and who has access to it. These documents are public, they are not hidden, and they show that the policies people are panicking about right now have been documented and disclosed for years. I also want to remind you that immigration laws and policies do not change overnight. Even when new enforcement priorities are announced, they go through official channels. They are published. They are explained. If there were a major new policy affecting travelers, you would see it on USCIS.gov. You would see official statements, and it would be covered by credible legal sources, not just viral posts on social media. The truth is that most of the fear around immigration comes from not understanding how the system works. And that's not your fault. The system is complicated, the language is confusing, and there are people online who either don't understand it themselves or who benefit from making you feel scared. That's exactly why this channel exists. I'm here to give you the facts. I'm here to help you separate what's real from what's just noise. And I'm here to remind you that staying informed is the best way to protect yourself, not panicking over every headline. So here's what I need you to do. If this video helped clear things up for you, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future updates. Share this video with anyone you know who might be worried about flying or about TSA and ICE, because chances are they've seen the same rumors and they need the same clarity. And if you have questions about your own immigration situation, about travel, about visa status, about anything we covered today, leave them in the comments below. I read them, I reply when I can, and your questions often become the topics for future videos that help thousands of other people in the same situation. Immigration is stressful enough without adding fear that isn't based on facts. Stay informed, stay calm, and remember that you have rights, you have options, and you have access to the truth if you know where to look. I'll see you in the next one.